Welcome, everybody, back to another Boldcast reaction. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
This is Fruits Basket, episodes 11 and 12 of Season 2 of Fruits Basket. What happened last time?
Last time was Akito's power reveal.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever that was.
Whatever that was. We'll see what happens this time. Leave a like and subscribe. Let's check out what happens this episode of Fruits Basket. Kagura episode.
Mm-hmm.
OOP. They're doing the credits at the start.
Mm.
Flashback.
I don't think it's flashback.
It's not? Oh, yeah, it's not. She looked
No.
younger for some reason.
They're just camping out in their house. Make yourselves at home. It is their home. What do you mean, how do you get in? You can just open the walls like that.
House sitting?
Just for the last day.
They were gone for like a week. Right? Or a few
Yeah.
days. I love yeah. Tiny yada.
Who's she talking to?
I don't know. Shisho? So dumb. Shisho. Oh.
Please know something about the curse.
I'm sorry to say I know nothing, despite my grandfather.
アキトと彼らの間には他人では理解しがたい、踏み入れることのできない、その身に類々と流れる血のつながり。
呪い。
確証はありませんが。
尊いものです。当然のことなのかもしれません。諦めません。
サガですか。申し訳ない。なかった。
何やら手も大きくなられたような気が。もしや、師匠さんの手も楽しみですね。
あなたに何かができるとしたら、くださることかもしれません。あなたが笑うと、少しだけ優しいものに思えてくるから。あなたがあなたでいることは。
She already knows.
She's just trying to get one
last date.
Mm-hmm.
もう少しだけ待ってみせて。血の絆。何ができるかしっかりと考えなくては。みすずさん、の具合はもうよろしいですか？
お前、相馬の周りをうろうろするのやめろ。
ああ、ちょっと、どうぞか。おい。今日は千客万来だね。
でくるのを見た。何しに来た？
お前と同じ質よ。
させない。余計なことはさせない。リンと会った？
Just storming around. A non-specific middle area of town.
何？デート？
Wearing a collared shirt.
Mhm. He dressed up for the date and then she just somehow dressed down a little bit.
What? She's dressed up compared to what she was wearing before.
But she was wearing like a frilly dress before.
But it wasn't really a dress.
お前のテンションが。
怒りんぼなんかじゃなかったんだよね。このきょうちゃんだよね。私はね。なんで逃げるの？
朝、口聞いたらダメって。
怒られないよ。私仲間だもん。十二支だもん。イナッシだよ。
He's so cute.
何を書いてたの？
Looks like egg.
Yeah, we saw this before. We saw this part before.
お友達いないの
Does he have one friend? AKA Kyoko?
ちゃんが他に好きなのって何？テレビは何が一番好き？ねえ、私が一緒に遊んでる。
Is that why he's always so annoyed by Mogata? when they were sitting there watching it? Or I guess that was,
ずっとそばにいてあげる。
whatever his name was.
私はひどいよね。
カグラ。
ちょっとどこに向かってるか。
The completed place, there was like construction
子供の頃の
going on
思
there.
い出の場所。
Oh.
Oh, or not. I just saw those 3 pipes and I was like, oh, there's construction, but no.
相馬の子かな。こっそり家を抜け出して遊びに来たよね。きょうくんはあんまり近づきたくない場所だし、私がきょうくんの本当の姿見ちゃった場所だしね。ちょっとだけその術、私にもつけさせてよ。きょうくん嫌がったのに無理やり。
I guess that's why she's so lovey-dovey on him as well, because she feels a little bit guilty.
もののけつきで生まれたり、子供の頃、私のせいで両親が喧嘩するたび、その後嫌だった。不安だった。だから、きょうくんと初めて会った日、嬉しかった。猫つきに比べれば、 然不幸なんかじゃないって思えたからだし、疎まれてもいないこの子に比べ実感できると知ったから、ずっと京くんを見返していたんだ。私は汚い。あの日耳汚く思えた。
That's why she's not really fighting against Tohru, like, kind of taking her place in a way. Because when she ran, Tohru stayed and chased after him.
なかったことにしてほしく、京くんを受け入れられる綺麗な自分を夢見た。その考えこそが汚い。京くんが私を好きになってくれれば、汚い自分をなかったことになる。
Just like super overcompensating.
Yeah.
つじつま合わせの恋だったの。分かったんだよ。あの子が京くんを追いかける姿考えてなかった。そう。結局は自分のことばかりで、自分のためだけに京くんを追いかけてた。ごめん。ごめん。ごめん。
お前がわざわざお前を傷つけるようなことを言わなくたってな。俺はお前を好きになったりはしない。最後まで好きにはならない。それを
Ouch.
言いたかっただけだ。そんなことはいいよ。お前が謝ることはないんだよ。
でも言っておきたかったの。私の懺悔。すっきりがお腹空いてきちゃった。私帰る。
理由はどうあれ、一緒に遊んでくれたこと、俺は嬉しかった。ありがとう。
確かに辻褄合わせで始まった恋だけど、私を呼んだ京くんも、不器用だった京くんも、いつしか
My honest reaction to that information. He's just a...
ありがとう。ありがとな。
They're so cute when they were little.
どうしたのその顔。
なんでもないよ。ね。
なんでもなくないじゃない。そんなに目を離して。かわいそうに。
そうとかじゃないよ。私だっただけ。それを顧みる時に来ただけ。くれてありがとう、ママ。ごめんね。同情も同調もいらないの。つもりはないの。この気持ち。
She's got cat shit all, like, cat stuff. Not cat shit. Cat stuff all over her room. It's all orange.
あの頃のだけのものだ。私みたいじゃなく、ありがとうって言ってくれた京くんは、私がくれた京くんだけは、私だけのものでいて。この夜が明けるまでは。
俺の代わりに君が泣いた。
What'd you think of that episode?
I like that episode. I like that Kagura had, like, you know, had the realization of, like, why she kind of was the way that she was, and but actually was brave enough to admit it and kind of, like, take action to just to put a stop to it, you know?
Yeah.
Because she could just continue to feel sorry for herself and, you know, pity Kyou and be trying to make up for just the way that she thought in, like, this weird way of not actually trying to, you know, change her opinion or be a good person or, like, do nice things for him, but just shower him with love that he doesn't want or need to make her feel better about herself and the way that she felt when she was a literal child. So I guess I'm just really proud of her because she was so annoying at the start, but you know, to see that she had like a lot going on and was really, you know, just overcompensating for her own like just kind of shitty feelings, but she couldn't help, like, you know, I guess I'm just glad that she's like taking accountability for that and moving on and, you know, just kind of maturing a little bit and growing up, I guess.
Yeah. I think it was good. I think it was a good thing for her character and everything. My only worry for future episodes, I don't know how the plot's gonna be unfolding and like how everything is gonna be like. I feel like everything is kind of ramping up and it might be just a little bit more tightly wound as we go along, like a lot more focused on like, you know, just the stuff with Akito and everything. It won't be as much side stories and stuff. I think maybe there will be, but I just hope that this story sort of, I hope that the presentation of her character going forward doesn't just revert basically back to how she was previously, just because it's familiar and just because it's like what fans know and it's easier to write and it's just easier to digest.
It's just easier to make her the annoying person.
Yeah, like I hope she has some beyond just like she acts the same and then we get like a close up shot of her when she's like being all crazy and and then we get a close up shot of her and then she's in her inner monologue thinking like, I know it won't be the same, but, you know, it's nice to pretend sometimes, or some shit, like to justify her interacting the exact same way and her and Kyou interacting the exact same way.
I'm not really worried about that because I think so far the show has done a really good job of people actually growing when they show development. Like we can see both Kyou and Yuki have developed immensely over their period of time. Like Ayame is one where he's like still that like crazy guy, but he's putting up a front. And I think in this episode, Kagura admitting to Kyou like what the whole deal was, but you know, she still cares about him, just not in the over the top ridiculous kind of way, and like she knows that he's not gonna fall in love with her. I think that like that was her saying like this is kind of the end of this
it's the end of her realistically pursuing it, but it's not necessarily the end of their interactions being characterized like the same way, just because it's like the dynamic that has been established, like as far as just like characters, like maybe they'll all hang out and they'll all be in a room talking or whatever, and then Kagura will show up and do her same shtick of like being all crazy and running around. I just hope that it doesn't just default back to the same thing with some sort of justification of like or nothing. It's just like I just hope that there's actual like with the other things. Like the reason I think I'm more worried about Kagura is because Kagura has kind of been less of a character throughout. She's kind of been just that the whole time, other than, you know, with teasing of this flashback that we saw this episode. You know, how she's actually not just like what her character is or what she represents to Kyou and with her relationship on a deeper level, but like as far as Kagura being a character in a scene where everybody is talking and interacting, and how her character plays out in the group dynamic, her dynamic with Kyou. If you remove that aspect of her relationship with Kyou interacting that same way, then she basically might as well not even be there, because the entire way that she interacted with not like I don't want her to be there, I don't want to see how it's changed. It's just like all of her characteristics and how she interacted with people was wrapped up in the way that she, in these feelings and this sort of dynamic. So if you remove that dynamic, then either you need to do the really monumental task of completely overhauling how she, and basically make her a new character as far as how she functionally interacts with the group dynamic with other characters. You basically need to change her from the ground up, as far as interactions go, as far as dialogue goes, and really change the vibe, or default to the same thing and come up with some reason why. Or just, you know, because it's a default setting, and it's what everybody understands with their character, et cetera, and it's familiar, and it's a fun part of the story, and it's kind of silly. I just hope that they don't default to that for like a comedy thing or whatever, because I feel like it would really undercut the big step forward that was happening. I hope the author takes like the harder route and really doesn't default to all that, doesn't have Kagura being all crazy and silly just because they can and just because it's what she's already done, and actually change the way that she interacts on a scene by scene and line by line basis.
Yeah. Based on the track record of like every other character that has had growth, even like Haru, was.
I'm thinking of Ayame.
Yeah, well, I think that's different because he hasn't had the moment where he like specifically that's what I was saying, like the difference between Ayame, who's still doing the same thing. He didn't have this moment with Yuki where he explicitly said, "Hey, I'm treating you like this because I'm compensating for this, and now I'm gonna stop doing that." Like he's still like riding the line of like he can have like some moments with Yuki that's like a little bit more genuine, but then he goes back into his other thing and he talks to his friends about it and like gets a little bit more real, and then just like goofs off again. He's not at like the same level that Kagura is, because she, over the past little while, even like when she was becoming more friends with Tohru, and then when Rin was like kind of calling her out on her bullshit and was like, you need to, you're still doing this. And then we see that, it's been kind of in the works since last season when Kyou, went into his true form, and she's just been kind of thinking about it behind the scenes. And then she had this time where she stayed behind from like the group vacation and just was kind of by herself thinking about it, and, okay, everyone else is over there having fun, and I'm sitting in my house just thinking about how I've kind of been shitty for the past 10 years.
Well, Ayame didn't have the same cathartic, heart-to-heart that we saw this episode, but he did kind of, in a way, reconcile. He went through the same arc. He talked to Tohru, and Tohru, like, talked to him about, oh, you should do this, and then he talked to Shigure and Hatori, and then, oh, well, they talk about relationships and stuff like that, and it kind of gave him insight, and he kind of grew from that. And then, when they went to his shop, they had, Ayame and Yuki had a similar sort of development to their relationship, but it's Ayame's personality. So we default to Ayame's core personality and how he interacts with things. And this episode we even saw, when they came home, Ayame was like, oh, I wasn't able to help you again. Did he say that out loud? I thought he said that out loud to Yuki when they were in the house. And it's not that I'm against Ayame being silly and crazy. That's what I like about him. And because they didn't have, and I'm overlooking it in the way that I spoke about it before, because they didn't have this big, huge cathartic breakdown moment. Kagura had this huge cathartic breakdown moment that's supposed to be like a big step forward for her character, and she does still love Kyou, but the change in their dynamic going forward is such that like she has to let go of treating him this way, and I don't want them to. I just don't want them to go back to that because it's familiar, because it's easy to write, or because it's what they think the audience expects of the character. So they'll just write that because it's easier. It would really undercut if she was still just as crazy Kagura. And I would like to see some actual, like, there's one thing to develop a character. Like, here's what I'm really getting at. It's like when we talk about character development, you can't just like have the big emotional scene and then they are completely the exact same person in every way in all of their interactions. They act one way, big, huge, formative experience happens, and then afterwards they become just they don't become anything. They are the same character, but interspersed with little scenes that indicate, outside of this conversation they are different. Because what's the point of developing the character if they don't actually perform differently in the story? What's the point of developing relationships if it doesn't change the way that the characters interact within those relationships and without of those relationships? If it's just lip service and you say, these characters had this change, and then use them the same way that they were used before in a scene, then did they really change? Was there really a big cathartic moment, or did you just have the big tear jerking like climax to their relationship? and that's it. And it's just supposed to make you feel sad or happy or, you know, bittersweet or whatever. But if that doesn't actually change the way that the story unfolds or that characters interact with each other, then did it really happen? If it doesn't have any lasting effects, was it even a turning point? Or was it just a big feel good, feel sad thing? You know, that's my problem. And that's what I don't want to happen with Kagura. And we'll see if it does.
Yeah. We'll see. I personally, I don't really think it's going to, because I think that we can still have her being like that, but in a different way. If they want to have like a, like same way with, Kyou and Yuki still, like, they fight so much less now. Like, they used to just, like, see each other and then, like, fly through the door or, you know, punch each other in the face and, like, break everything. And now they still have, like, the occasional moment where there's a gag involving them, like, fighting or, like, doing something. But it's kind of different. And same, like, with Haru, like, originally he was, like, when we first see him, he's like fighting Kyou over Yuki and like being a total crazy person, and like this and that, but now he's like settled down a lot and is like kind of going through a different arc right now.
Yeah.
So, and like, you know, Shigure as well. Like I feel like every character kind of has like their own like gag thing. But as the story has, and it was like, there was a lot of it at the start, and then as it's going along, it's like getting toned down, but it's still there in little ways. They're not just stripping the characters of their personality. It's like, they're developing, and like they can still be funny or still be goofy or still have some of this, like, core of their personality or like their original, like gag that they kind of had. But they're just being used in like different and more creative ways as the story progresses. And I also feel like, you know, I have a lot of faith in it, because I think that like the point of this story, we talked a lot recently about like, you know, the magic thing and like how it like seems kind of like an addition to the story. But I think that, you know, at the heart of it, the story is about the characters and them like growing and changing and learning and
that's what
developing.
I'm saying I want. I'm not trying to argue with you about it. I'm just stating what I hope doesn't happen. I'm not trying to say that the story hasn't done this or hasn't had to.
Yeah, no,
I'm trying to say for this one specific instance, I hope that it has a lasting effect and doesn't do what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the show is characteristic of this type of behavior. I'm saying that it's easy to do and it's kind of the easy way out. I'm not saying that the author one way or the other will or won't do anything. I'm just saying I hope that happens.
But I really like this. I like that Tohru went and talked to Shisho at the beginning.
I love how he's just like, yeah, I actually know nothing, but here's a pile of information that's just my subjective guessing, but it seems very accurate. He's just like, but Akito, they look at him as a god. He's like, I don't know anything except for the cat spirit. But they look at Akito as a god that's a figure that should be feared and respected. And it just like goes into a very accurate deep dive of like the whole interaction and the bonds of blood and all this shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love Tohru being like, oh, well, like my, like if their bond is to Akito is like the same as like significance as her bond to her mom, but like that was such a good thing and theirs is such a bad thing, then it's like she feels conflicted about breaking it because it's the kind of thing that shouldn't be broken, but at the same time, if it's so damaged and so like messed up, then like you don't have a choice. You know,
bonds are supposed to be good things. I think that she's not necessarily saying she wants to break it. I think that she's looking at it a different way, and she won't break it. I don't think Akito at the end of the story is going. Again, this goes back to them like, can I just have Akito ripping a puppy to shreds just so I know if he was a good guy or a bad guy? Like every time we see him, they make sure to add one more reason to hate him. That's on purpose because I'm pretty sure that he's not going to be just this evil piece of shit at the end. That's not how everything's going.
That's like even she shows like, you know, Akito is just like a baby having a temper tantrum every day of his life. Yeah. But he's been put in like this godly position, so that's where the problem comes. It's like the guy with the worst emotional maturity of all time is in charge of this entire family dynamic. It's a messed up thing, but I like that Tohru is I think her being such a kind and genuine person is what's going to allow her to, like, break the curse, because she's going to treat Akito with kindness and in a way that, like, other people who would be trying to break it wouldn't be able to do, because they wouldn't be able to see any redeeming qualities in him because he's just so terrible.
Yeah.
It's also interesting that Rin shows up and is asking about breaking the curse as well, because she is, like, on her, like, revenge path of, like, I'm gonna push everyone away from me, and then I'm gonna, like, go in alone, undercover spy, secret agent type of deal. Like, I'm gonna take all of this onto myself. And,
is
like,
that why she fucked Shigure? Was it to get information? Is that all it was?
I thought that
Did Shigure willingly take sex from a teenager as payment to tell her what she needed to know? Right? Is that what happened? Or was it some magical reason? Because it seems like, looking back after, like, the last couple episodes, it seems less and less like them getting together was some sort of, like, magical thing, like them trying to, like, break the code or hack into the code of the curse or something by having sex or, like, forming some weird connection, and more like it was a transaction for information, which is kind of fucking weird considering they're cousins, and she looks up to him like an older brother, and she, like, is having sex with him in exchange for information.
Yeah, I mean, maybe? I thought before that it was kind of like a self-harm, or like a making herself, like, dirty or undesirable, or like like irredeemable. Like, she's making herself unworthy of her boyfriend that she broke up with because she's trying to protect him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which to me kind of tracks, and then also makes sense why she.
But then why would Shigure do it? Why in God's name would Shigure do that with her?
I don't know. Well,
like, does he have like, that's my thing, is, like, does he have a reason?
Well, if he thinks that if he knows that she's also trying to, like, fuck with Akito, and then maybe he is just, like, allowing her to keep going on whatever, like, path that, like,
I guess that makes sense, but like, his whole scheme, as we talked about, seems to be, and maybe there's something wrong, maybe I'm wrong, we still don't know exactly what it is, but by context clues, it seems to be his scheme is let Tooru and everybody be friends and hang out and take power away from Akito by, like, removing their weird toxic attachment and shifting it over to a wholesome attachment to Tooru by just letting things play out and having fun and going on dates and shit and chilling out and going on vacations, and just let it all be fun, and then I'll go hang out with Akito and say nothing's going on and and run interference, and that's his big scheme. So if that's the case, then what is him fucking Rin?
Quite implied.
What is that? How does that factor into his scheme, so to speak? Like, because wouldn't that make it worse? Like, if she's trying to make herself undesirable, unclean, kind of fuck herself self-harm wise, and he's feeding into that, and she's one of the Zodiac, meaning it is in his best interest to like, not do that.
Yeah.
Unless that is the relationship that he was talking about, that he, like, fumbled the bag. We thought it was maybe the teacher.
Well, I think they showed that it was the teacher.
Okay. Well, then no. So then he's just. So then why would he? Why on earth would he do that?
I mean,
is there a reason? Or okay. So here's the thing. I think there might be a reason. I think it's because of the proximity to the Uo Kurino shit. It seems like an age gap kind of romance type thing, and but it's weird because, like, Shigure seems to come off as somebody who's very aware all the time of everything that's happening. So for him to, like, he even says, he's like, oh, what do you really think I'm that simple of a man? And that goes ahead and does what a simple man would do in that case.
As far as we know, but there's been no implication that, like, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Or, like, there's been no implication that, like, after that it cut off, he was like, actually get out of my house.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe there was. Maybe that's what happened and they're trying to set us up for that.
Maybe
it'll be like she gets closer and then it'll cut back to, like, day, and then they actually, after it cut off, they had, like, a crazy conversation about, like, how
she needs to smarten up.
But
then she didn't want to hear it, so she ran away and was still maybe running around.
Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, you want to assume the best of Shigure, but you know.
It's not even I want to assume the best of Shigure. I want to assume the best of the author, that they're not getting too lost in the sauce of all these weird, inappropriate relationships. Like, and it's inappropriate, but it's also like there must be some reason for it plot wise, because it doesn't.
It seems like a weird thing to include if nothing. Yeah. Like if it didn't mean anything. So that's why it's either they did that. Like I can see where she was coming from. I think the thing is that you can't see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Because so far just what we know of his scheme, it would seem like it would be in his best interest for him to like try and help her and set her up for success.
Yeah, exactly.
And like bring her in with the rest of everyone.
Like I'm trying to stop this family abusive toxic relationship cycle. Let me have sex with my fucking younger cousin. What? What? You know,
it is what it is.
Unless the author was just feeling really spicy at that time in writing the manga and just like wanted to include more mature themes.
We'll just let that one go past. No, but I do think I'm interested that it seems like she, like Rin clearly really cares about everyone else and doesn't care about herself at all.
Yeah.
So it's she's trying to kind of take one for the team and like, okay, if everyone else is like too scared or like can't like make a move against him, then I'm gonna try and do something so that at least they can be happy even if I'm miserable at the end of it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm interested to see her arc and how, hopefully maybe she gets closer with Tohru and like kind of gets out of that mindset, because seemingly the whole theme of the story is like, caring about people and loving people and being a good person.
Oh, but you know what I just remembered?
What?
Fucking, what's his name? Hiro? Is that his name?
The
child?
Little kid,
yeah. His mom's pregnant. Mm-hmm. So that means we forgot. We were like, oh shit, what does that mean?
Yeah,
somebody can die. Somebody can die. So if she like goes hardcore, maybe she's like being this rogue and then she's just gonna get fucking murked at the end of the season. And then that's going like, because what needs to happen is everybody needs to be happy. That's kind of the thing here, is everybody needs to let go of all this shit. It can't be one person left out, because then we have a Kyou situation. The horse will just become the new cat. So you need to have everybody on board, and that's kind of also a part of the message, is everybody needs to be included. Everybody needs to be happy. We all need to be, on each other's team. So like, her going out can't be that way, but what if it's tragic and she like just like can't be saved and she just keeps doing all this fucked up shit, and then Akito just fucking kills her right there, and then the horse spirit is reborn into this baby.
I guess like I could kind of get behind that, but at the same time I feel like just with the messaging of the show that it like
maybe not unceremoniously. There might be an emotional attachment, or she might realize.
I guess I just feel like the way that the show, it's like everyone that was like alive and like involved, like part of the Zodiacs at the beginning needs to be like alive and like resolved at the end. At least in in what I'm thinking. I'm not like completely ruling that out.
But it's the fact that she wasn't introduced at the beginning. Like she wasn't there. She was introduced at the end of season 1, and so was Kurino. He was not introduced till this season. I'm not saying 100%. I'm just saying there's this Chekhov's child that's going to be born into into a family with a current Zodiac.
Well, I mean, you never, because
there's already Yuki and Ayame. They're siblings.
It could also be like, what if it was like, what if it's like at the end of this they no longer like turn into animals, or like when everything gets resolved and everything's happy, you don't need to keep having feasts because everyone is there by their own choice and there's nothing that needs to like tie them to it anymore.
Yeah.
And then like, what if the mom has a baby and it's he can kind of like rejoin his family, or like he has a little baby sister and he can actually like hold her without like, turning into something.
Ooh, yeah,
and it's like it's like a satisfying ending where it's like people, they can, now that they're kind of free from this like super abusive dynamic, they can then be whole and with their own separate families in a much healthier and normal way at the end of it.
It's there kind of like as a worry of like, oh, is this just going to continue?
Yeah.
And then we'll all be able to just resolve it in the nick of time, and then the finale will be
something
with
like
this
that.
baby that's like actually chill and not a fucking
and then no one has to worry, like his mom doesn't have to worry about having another like cursed child or like this or that, and people can start repairing all of their broken relationships with other people because this like huge thing is kind of dealt with,
Right. Yeah, I think that's likely as well. If they or what if that, but if Yuki's fucking asthma kicks in towards the end and he dies and there is this thing, like they resolve it and he dies maybe with the resolution in this big climactic, happy but super bittersweet moment. And then they're like, oh shit, is it just going to be reborn and happen? And then the baby's born and it does, the spirit doesn't go into the child. And that's how they know, is like, that's kind of a more confirmation, like, Yuki.
Oh, it's like stopped.
Yeah, it's like there was only one child about to be born, so it was going to be the spirit was going to be manifested in this child, and then it comes out and it's totally fine, and then now and they're be able to move on.
That could also be a thing. I guess then when I also think about like the romance aspect of it, it's like if like in the end it seems like Toru's probably gonna choose either Yuki or Kyou to like be with, and I feel like it would be cheapened if like the choice was made for her by one of them literally dying.
Yeah, it's just Yuki being sick.
But
seems
also,
to be
when's the last
no...
time he was sick? Maybe it was because
you don't just introduce a character like, oh, he has these chronic fucking bronchial problems that take him out every so often, and he like, you don't set that up just like, oh, this main character just has, this big issue with their lungs, and then that's it. And then, I mean, maybe they could just not go somewhere, but that was clear. That's one of those things that's like clearly set up to go somewhere. I wonder
if it's like kind of like a sickness. He was like more sick because he was more depressed because he had been around Akito so much and everyone else, and was like having to go to the like souma estate to get treatment and like this and that. I'm not sure. I think we'll know like when it comes up again. It just hasn't come up in a long time, so I'm not sure whether it was just like didn't fit in with like where the story was kind of going. Yeah, it could be
like the powers, like the superpowers.
Yeah, or if it's just something like that, like he was in worse physical condition because he was in worse mental condition.
Yeah.
And now he's like going out and like having friends and having fun and not just sitting inside all day. Because even after
wasn't he coughing? Like wasn't there a few episodes ago like they brought it back up that he had asthma problems?
I thought that the last time that it was like maybe around when Tohru was sick. Like I don't think there's been anything this season of him being sick.
I thought a few episodes like during the beach arc there was one reference to it, but maybe I'm wrong. I think that you could be right. Maybe they just like, but like that. It's such
also
a
a thing
because
like Akito's always sick too. Is like a big thing, and it's like he is like his physical sickness seems to also tie into like his mental sickness and his like relationship with his family. So I'm not sure if it's like if the sickness is like also a metaphor for like the sickness of like their relationships with other people.
Right. Yeah. And that's speaking of things that might have been like, tossed to the side. The whole like Akito and Yuki looking exactly the same, but just like opposite evil versions of each other. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that was ever going to be a thing, or if it was just a mystery thing. Like that seems like the kind of thing that like when the author was drafting character designs, like, okay, here's the good, like, pure white prince, and what if there's like a dark side version of him and he's like the evil guy? So there's Tohru, she's like between that, but then there's Kyou, who's like the sigma male off to the side, like and then I think they mentioned that Yuki had a brother, and then it turned out to be Ayame. But I wonder if that was always the plan, or if it was originally meant to be a twin.
Yeah, I thought originally. I think it might have been a very real possibility that like originally in like early drafting or like early idea of the story that they were going to be twins, and that's why originally Akito had been so possessive of Yuki specifically. And then later it comes around that it was just more interesting to make, and I think it also could have been cool as well, because then it would have been like this weird like jealousy thing where his brother got to be kind of like the special one, but he was like the head of the family but didn't have any powers or whatever. But then just the way that it kind of evolved, I feel like that plot line would just make it very messy. Yeah. Like if I think about it now, if they were twins,
or just too short.
Yeah.
It feels like that's the kind of thing that, like how we talk about in One Piece, like the whole Buggy and Shanks sort of binary, like being like the good king and the bad king or whatever, these guys who grew up together, the good prince and the bad prince or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of thing that a manga author would sort of, it's like the shorter, more streamlined version of the story. And then as maybe this is more popular than I thought, I can actually write a longer story. How do I do that? Well, how about instead of these two characters being directly connected, the evil villain is like attached to all the other characters, and we have to go through each individual thing to kind of solve all that shit. That to me, that was fully what I was expecting when we were learning about Akito the first time and saw little glimpses of him being like trapped inside. I was fully convinced that like Akito was going to be his like 5-minute older twin brother. Because, and there's no reason not to think that, I think, because Ayame wasn't introduced until like significantly later. And after sort of the story had expanded a lot more anyway, then we got Ayame. He wasn't the first like of the other people. It's like we learned about Hatori, and that was also like the whole memory shit, and then we were learning about Tohru and Yuki, like their childhood memory, but apparently Tohru just didn't remember Yuki, despite there being a guy who erases memories, and Yuki didn't want Tohru to go to Hatori. So there was a lot of like sort of floating things that all were sort of tied together once the story kind of expanded, and just the power thing in general, like the fact that the whole curse and the powers and everything is so much more toned down than what they were kind of ramping up for at the beginning. It feels like there was a lot of things that were sort of, I saw somebody mention that like the powers were all editor influence, and I feel like that must be true, because as the story has progressed and it's found a lot more of its own identity, that all that shit has gone down significantly, and it's as if it's not really there. It's more just about the family.
It's even everything. Like when Shisho is talking about it, it's like that's exactly what it is. It's just Akito is placed in a high level of importance
male.
by this group
of a high value male.
By this specific group of people, even though to an outsider he's just a child. And it's the same thing in an abusive family dynamic. If you like saw this thing where like the mom or the dad was just or the grandma or whoever was just like a psycho and like super obviously abusive and treated everyone like shit, then you'd be like we were talking about, it's like, why would they stay? And it's because in their own world, it's like a magical world, but in real life, or in the like non-metaphorical version of this story, they feel bound to him because they're family, because they're related to him, and because it's just like an established thing that he is like the head of this group, and just the thinking of that to the people that are involved is very powerful, whereas to an outsider it just seems ridiculous. It's like, why don't they just leave? Didn't we see a thing of like Shigure like giving Akito a flower or something when he was like a little toddler?
Oh, we did see that.
So I'm interested to see that, because I'm interested
in
the perspective of like Shigure and all of the older Zodiacs and how their relationship with Akito changed over time. Because I feel like that kind of holds the key. It's like, when did Akito go from just being like a child, like an innocent child, to being a demanding person? Was it because he was told that everyone's always supposed to love him, but then like Yuki or someone, like people wanted their own friends, or like wanted to do their own thing? Or is it because he starts getting told like, like, I don't know who's telling him, but he hears like, oh, the bull is like dumb, and then he starts bullying people, and then they don't love him, but he expects the love. But it's like a thing of like, oh, your haircut is bad because their parent or someone in their life said that, and then it's like, he's hurting the other people's feelings, but he doesn't understand that he's hurting their feelings, and then eventually he does, but then he uses it to his advantage to manipulate them. And I think that like a lot of it, like we saw that shot. We did see that, right? Of him, it was like a Shigure like flashback.
It was a while ago, but I think you're right.
It was in like the episode where Shigure was talking to Akito, and Akito was like starting to be like, you don't care about me as much as you used to. And I guess I'm interested to see like that dynamic and that thing, because I can see how everyone the same age as him or younger like never knew any different than him being who he is, or him being like the boss, but the other people did. So I guess I feel like that, and like possibly the previous head of the family, or like whoever you know what I mean? Like, because there was something before Akito, and I'm not sure how much we'll get into that, but it seems like they're
somewhat.
I don't need it to be a ton. I just want to see, like, because it's all about the cycle continuing and breaking the cycle. So I feel like we need to see, like, a little bit of the cycle before, or like a little bit of how these dynamics are continuing on, and that will give you the key on how to stop them, you know?
Yeah.
I think, I guess I'm interested to see if Tohru does, like, you know, solve the curse by, like, you know, genuinely like showing affection towards Akito, because she, you know, finds out his backstory and, like, feels bad for him and, like, wants to comfort him.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how he would respond to that, because it seems like he, at least not for a long time, he hasn't had people that genuinely care about him.
Yeah.
All of the thing that people say, oh yes, we care about you, Akito, but he's, like, holding a gun to their head. So if someone
with no strings attached,
he hates Tohru, he thinks that she's worthless, she's garbage, she doesn't care. But then what happens if she is the only person that genuinely cares about him and how he's doing after he's been abandoned by everyone else, essentially?
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll be like, maybe part of the curse is that Akito needs to love somebody else or care about somebody else that's not a Zodiac. Because so far he's only been surrounded by people from the Zodiac, and that adds to sort of the whole abusive family dynamic where, like, anybody, and how they wanted to, like, erase Tori's memories or like kick her out, like, get away from us, like,
he wants to live in a bubble.
Yes, everybody from the outside, no, everybody is out there. They don't understand our relationship. I don't have control over them. Whatever. If he's like this emotionally abusive parent and physically abusive, so, like, anybody's kind of learning their secrets, getting closer, is dangerous. But that's ultimately what will undo the curse.
Yeah.
Or maybe if she does reach out that hand and become close to him, then that will not only undo the curse, but basically give her the power. And maybe the person at the center has the ability all the time to just, like, let it all go, but they aren't, because it's the only thing.
So much pressure.
It's the only thing that forces people to love them. Mm-hmm. So, like, Akito maybe at this point already has the ability to undo the curse, you know.
Yeah.
But he won't, because if he doesn't, because
if
he's
he
afraid,
does, then people won't love
nobody
him.
Will stay by him. So he's ruling out of fear in that way.
Yeah.
And eventually, and then maybe Tohru
coming
by.
It's if you love them, let them go kind of thing. But he's scared that they won't come back.
Yeah, because you know, and it's probably a snowball effect. He was probably just jealous from the beginning of somebody, of Yuki, you know, with Tohru. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's why they're building up the hat, and that relationship is all it was. Is they were playing a few times, and he saw that, and then confined him because of that, and because he was jealous of the relationship, so he confined Yuki for, like, years and years, and didn't let him go out after that situation, just because he was jealous of the relationship with Tohru.
Or just with any other normal
normal person. Yeah. And that was it. And then it'll be like Tohru just saying, well, fuck, why don't we
And that's why he won't let anyone marry anyone else or do anything, because it's just, that is, like, taking too much of their affection away from him and giving it to someone else. Even if they are both within the Zodiac, it's still, like, not okay. Like, it's I really like it. I feel like it's really complicated, and there's a lot going on, but I just, like, love all the characters so much. And I loved in this episode specifically with Kagura getting some development, because it felt like she got a little bit during her original episode where she, like, talked to Tohru and they, like, went shopping together and stuff. But I feel like now she is, like, kind of catching up to where everyone else is in their journey, but we've just been seeing them, like, more often.
Yeah. I wonder if it's because Kagura, like, she needed some time alone, or if it's just because the author didn't really have a place for her.
I think it's just that I think it's maybe both. I think it's that I think also this demonstrated, like, that Kagura's mom really cared about her, and also how it seems like her parents were together and they were fighting all the time, and then I'm assuming they got divorced. And then her mom was, like, sad and by herself, but now her mom has really stepped up and is protecting her and not letting her go to the beach. Like, she was gonna go, and then she's like, her mom's like, actually, Akito's there, you're not going.
Yeah. Which again is
and I think that that's also like a thing of, you know, all of these kids are born cursed, and then their families often like reject them or become super overprotective of them in like a really bad way. But then when Kagura her mom is able to like be there for her and be like an example of a healthy relationship a little bit and like care about her, then she is more protected from Akito and all of these horrible dynamics that are going on over there. And because of that, she is able to like take a breath and grow as a person, similar to the way that now people are getting a relationship with Tohru. Then they're able to like have that kind of moment to grow a little bit, you know? So
I guess then that also confirms that like Akito can't just force them to do anything, because he would want he could just say, you know, Kagura, come to the beach house at this moment, or else, you know, I'll fry your brain or something. She can just say no and just, and maybe they don't have that kind of connection, but.
Well, it also seems like.
He also just hates women.
Well, it also seems
he hates women. He's a little.
He doesn't
misogynist.
Often ask for something specifically unless he knows that he's in a position to get it.
Yeah.
Like, he goes to the beach house because they're already there. He doesn't say, come back from the beach house and hang out with me, because they just wouldn't do it. So instead, he rolls up next door and is like, there's no excuses, walk over to my house, basically. And like puts them in a position where it would be really awkward for them to say no, or Toru's there kind of as a hostage of like, you better come over, or, you know, I can just walk over and like attack her and scratch her face off, you know? So it's
all power games.
Yeah, but if he's not like right there, he can't get you, basically.
Yeah.
So
and then it's again
it's how he's doing it, because he doesn't like to ask for things and then not get them, so he puts himself in a position where when he asks for it, he will get it, kind of, you know.
Yeah. That's why I just wish the magic shit just wasn't even there. Like, I just wish that it wasn't there, because the story is stronger if there's not this like, oh, well, then why even have this thing where he's like controlling them or something? Because he already has a reason to do it, just with the emotional manipulation and the whole what the story is actually about. So then like, why even it seems like there's just these overlapping things where it's just like, oh, well, it's something to do with the curse. But it's really not, because what he's leveraging is not the curse. What he's leveraging is like their dynamic and the power that he holds as a form of his position, and the leverage he has over their relationship because of his position and all this shit, and the sort of the ties that bind in their bloodline and all this stuff. And just because it's a family thing, it's a community thing, it's all about belonging and you know, ownership. It's like that's already, if that was just the reason. But when you introduce all this magic shit, I can't help but be like, why is that even there if it doesn't actually matter to how he's controlling them? You know, if it's going to be a big climactic thing where they like unleash the curse or whatever, I guess that's it. But it just feels like I wish that if it was an editor thing, I really wish the editor just fucked off, because the story is better without it. Because the only thing it adds is like cute animals and I guess Kyou transforming into a monster, but that could just be like, you know, him having a temper tantrum because he's super abused and like, you know, fucked up because of everything. Like, it doesn't need to be this magic form passed down or whatever. Shisho could just be his uncle, and you know, fucking, it could just be he lashes out because he was abused and because he's neglected and because he's you know, kept inside or whatever. He has all these frustrations because his parents are really controlling, don't even let him watch TV. They don't allow him any freedom. They don't allow him any fun. The only fun he has is when he's crouching in a park, drawing eggs, just drawing circles in the dirt. That's the highlight of his life. So when somebody gets a little bit too close and touches him and touches the bracelet that his mom gave him, then he freaks out and explodes and like gets scary and violent or whatever. That's a way way more interesting and real and hard-hitting reason for that conflict to happen than magic ooga booga, you know, whatever. It's just like it just feels like the story just works not only just as well, but honestly better if there wasn't all of that stuff there. And that's, I guess, that's part of the reason I'm harping on everything so much, is it's just like the story's fine without it,
Yeah.
And there could have been, maybe if the curse stuff wasn't there, then there would have been more focus placed, like, because it feels like it's like it's because of the curse, but the curse is a metaphor for the emotional
What's
abuse.
actually going on.
But it's also just because of the emotional abuse itself. So then we just end up at the same place and the same reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
So at which point, why are we even going with the metaphor in that way? Why don't we just talk about what we're talking about? Because it's the same. Because then you end up using the emotional manipulation anyway to sort of explain what's going on. So then it's like you're undercutting that entire half of the story, and it just feels like I like it more when we aren't thinking about all the animals and craziness. Mm-hmm. I just feel like the story is genuinely better without it. I feel like it matters more, and it feels more poignant when they're not like turning into animals and stuff.
I liked all her cats.
I liked all the cats too.
Mm-hmm. I think we should get on to the next one.
We should. Hour and 15-minute recording. Let's go. You're always either too far off the screen or too close to the middle. That's good. Okay. Does she have a bookstore? Oh. Picture of her and Shigure.
Oh. I think.
Shisho? Oh, Shigure.
Great. Just exactly who she didn't want to see. Since that day.
Anohi.
紹介するね。いつも話してる私の大親友。まゆ、この人は相馬の主治医の羽鳥さん。私、二人は何も言わなかったけど、恋人同士だなってすぐにピンときたよ。バカだな。どうして好きだと思ってしまったんだろう。ねえ、羽鳥にまゆの羽鳥好みの古書がたくさんあるから。何も知らないカナが笑いかけてくれるたびにだ。悪かったな。カナが無理を言ったんじゃないのか。なわけないだろ。ついていなくていいぞ。マユ。呼び捨てとは大胆ですな。ああ、いつもそう呼ぶからな。映った。君の話をよくする。君を信頼しているんだな。で以来、卒業した今でも仲良くしてる。不思議だね。カナといるとさ、こっちまで優しくなれるような気がしてくるしいから笑って、悲しいから泣いて、屈託がなくて朗らか。私もあんな風になれたらよかった。そうだな。羽鳥くんにも親友がいるんだって。しぐれとあやめって二人。親友。
Just, I would never call them that.
I wouldn't call them friends. They're just tools for my ambition. My dream.
Interesting.
Is that why she dated Shigure? to get close to fucking Hatori.
Or is this a replacement?
No wonder it didn't work out. Yeah, he's into younger girls anyway.
かなちゃんが君の平和なよう
なんでバレてる？
に。いやー、僕はどうもその手のことに敏感らしく。
軽く言うな。
He's not joking.
むしろ、二人には幸せになってほしいよ。本当に思い知らされるぐらい。私じゃ追いつけない遠いところまで。
じゃあ、僕と付き合ってみる。
なんでどうなってそうなるんだか。
You're nothing like him at all.
寂しそうだが、そばにいてほしいところでしょ。僕も退屈して。
Wow.
しぐれと付き合う。
How romantic.
二人のなんとも言えない顔が少し笑い。さざ波のような男。抱き合うでもなく、ただ、なんとなく一緒にいて。
何
Nothing.
なんでもない。
Yeah.
So awkward.
しぐれ。
We're going
何？どうした急に？
nowhere.
まゆは一人。あ、まゆだ。会いに来てくれたね。ごめんね。久しぶりに会ったの。そんなことを気にする仲じゃないだろ。でも本当、久しぶり。音信不通になっちゃうから心配してた。え？いや、会ってないけど。いや、怪我しちゃった。私のせいで。こんな取り返しつかない。私のせいで。なのに、私守ってあげられなかった。守って。
ね。会わない方がいいよって言ったでしょ。
理由も事情もどうでもよかった。壊れてしまう。こんな形で二人の幸せは。
Why are we coming back to this now? You know what I mean? I wonder if it's gonna matter if we're just learning about her.
Yikes.
Is this them setting up Mayu to be with Hatori? So she does remember then? She remembers their
Yeah.
relationship, she just doesn't remember the bad part.
No, she forget. She thinks that she just had a crush on him.
Oh,
I think.
yeah, right. No, I misunderstood. Yeah, we knew that from before, too.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I thought maybe she got her memories wiped too, or didn't, like, know about the memory wiping thing.
Yeah, crazy that she knows about the memory thing.
Mm-hmm. Why are you trying to set them up, you weirdo? Girlfriend.
No, he doesn't.
Oh yeah, we saw that.
Right! I thought he was just lying to get her gears turning.
Here you are. I knew he was gonna say that.
それなりに気に入っていましたよ。
そりゃどうも。私も見つけに行くべきかな。自分の幸せを。見つけられるかな今度。いらっしゃい。寂しくなるためじゃなくて、今度こそ。
Just pass each other on the street. Just like 5 seconds later.
2年ぶり。いや、2年以上経っているか。どうでしょう。君も。
このスーツ姿見てて暑い。
悪かった。
ああ、いやごめん。びっくりしちゃって。うわ、ほんとびっくりした。白チュームかと思った。言ってたことだったから。
しぐれに取り寄せを頼んでもらった本を受け取りに来たんだ。
え？
あいつ言ってなかったか。
わざとだ。わざとだな。
He's trying to set them up.
いや、その本、明日にならないとこの。
So he's setting up all the kids with each other, but he's still got to
He
take care of
told us to,
Hatori.
yeah. How does he have time for this with all of his scheming?
This is part of the scheme.
忙しいんだろ相変わらず。ハトリ君。いや、明日。
突然すまなかった。
Yeah, imagine that she calls the house and then one of her students answers. Why were you calling here? Ah!
I bet they like talked one time and they're not actually even dating and he's lying to make the pangs in her heart even more intense. Yes, bitch.
We haven't seen her in a while.
そうしてください。おかわいそうに承知なさっておいでですから。お出かけはなさいますが、もしものこともありましょう。一番信頼されておられるアキトさんのお気持ちを思えば、常におそばについておられるべきでしょうに。あら、どうしたのかしら。あんな大声でない。
Oh, maybe Akito punched him in the face or something.
急いでくださいね。まゆこ、これ。ねえ、まゆこ。あんたどうしてしげさんと結婚しないのよ。だから。
We've read books together one time.
じゃあ父さんだって入院しちゃって母さんたちに何かあったらあんた聞いてません。ハトリ君。
Like how she was like, your suit is fucked up.
黙秘。女には加えなきゃならない。よ
くわからないが大変そうだな。
あれ、そうやのに。
できるだけ見ていて熱くないようにして。
She's like,
Yeah. You make me sweat, but not just because you look hot, because you look hot, if you know what I'm saying.
何か傷つけた。昨日も思ったけど、元気ないね。
特に体の不調はない。
いや、体調のことじゃなくてさ。全然そうじゃないな。
ルンルン。
あの頃のような幸せオーラが出てないなってさ。それなのにどうして。
何を言わんとしているのかわからないが、縁のない話だな。そう言ったな。
何言ってんの。羽鳥君こそ何言ってんの。嘘だろ。何がそんなに蝕んでいるの。嘘だろ。空はこんなに光っててみんな楽しそうに笑ってて、なの
It's because she's crying when she's sad, like her friend
Right,
that she was jealous of because she showed her emotions.
This is a healthy outburst.
It's because she's never cried before in her life. She's letting it all out.
I think
Are
you are.
Okay?
What a human thing to say.
Cry with me, Hatori. Not if you keep doing it.
Well, now you seem like a child, which is perfect for this story. Now there's a significant age gap.
It reminded me of that child that I saw 2 days ago. I don't have a girlfriend. It's Shigure. What do you expect?
Oh.
It's pretty rough.
A little bit of happily ever after before the story can conclude, because there's still a series ahead of us. So they say like, oh, by the time that I cut my hair, time passes and we're out in a beautiful field, and you know we can
Out on
have
a
a
clear
great
day.
time.
And I
guess
and
he'll
I
like
steal
propose
my
to her.
best friend's ex-boyfriend.
Steal. Steal. How was it stolen? She didn't orchestrate fucking Akito slicing out his eyeball.
How do you know? What if she was the evil villain all along? What if she was manipulating Akito? I'm kidding. I'm
Shit.
kidding.
It's the curse. It's something to do with the curse.
She's the curse.
This bitch. You like that episode?
That was an alright episode. I did like. It just is kind of sad, honestly. You know.
Yeah.
Just fake dating Shigure just because she's lonely and sad, and then Shigure just meddling in her life and Hatori's life. I mean, maybe they'll end up. It seems like they'll maybe end up together if the curse goes away.
They'll definitely end up together. This is like this. Everybody needs to be like fulfilled and happy and in love and not just attached to Akito. And this is how this is the story giving Hatori a reason why he's like good, or he will be
well,
good.
it's like they keep saying, like the old lady is like, Hatori, how could you leave? What if Akito had an emergency? But then he is going out, and then he's out getting the book, and then he chooses to spend more time out with her, thus leaving Akito alone for longer, which has been established as like against, you know, the family's
wishes.
interest and what Akito obviously wants.
So now Hatori good, but it does make me wonder what is gonna be with Shigure.
Yeah.
How's he gonna be good unless he's not fucked up? You know, like what's his thing that he's gonna overcome?
maybe he's just gonna actually, be besties with Akito again.
Maybe.
I don't know. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't have too much to say. It was just kind of like a nice, like, depressing, but also a little bit hopeful kind of episode.
Mm-hmm.
I do like how she just completely bawled her eyes out.
Yeah.
And then it was for no reason. It was just because she just believed what Shigure told her. Rookie mistake.
Yeah, rookie mistake. I love that. I love how she's just like, oh, I wish I could take back what I said. It's like, did you even say anything? You're just like, you should be happy, god damn it.
And he's like, yeah, maybe
my
if I
honest
cried
reaction.
more.
I love the trend of characters freaking, specifically girls, freaking out crying. Like they literally have never cried in their life. Because that's the point here. It's like, it's as if she has never cried in her life. And Hatori's just like, my honest reaction to that. I feel like I'm overusing that meme, but it's just literally true. It happened with the Kyou thing and it's happening here. It's so funny.
But, it's making him think. It's like, maybe I should be crying. Maybe I should be feeling emotions instead of just,
locking them
here.
away because it's too painful because of everything that happened with Kana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fucking Shigure just straight up lying about Hiro's
and
mom.
then calls her. I also love how she's like gonna call Shigure and then is like, I can't do that. Because it's like if she calls Shigure and then one of her students answered it and it's just like, it would just be so awkward. Like, why are you calling here? Your homework. It's the summer. Never mind. Hangs up.
Alrighty. I guess we should just move on.
Mm-hmm.
Leave a like and subscribe. We'll see you next time, guys.
I won't see.
Bye-bye.